What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this very quick book review of Convenience Store Woman, published in 2016 by the author Sayaka Murata, translated by Jenny Tapley Takamori. So I heard about this book through the YouTube community, and no, I heard about the author through the YouTube community. And when I looked her up to find the book that was like trending on YouTube, I couldn't find a copy of that book to download into my Kindle. I'm on a waiting list for that, and I forgot the name of that book. But she also wrote a book called Convenience Store Woman. So when I came across that title, Convenience Store Woman, I was like, there's no way this book is about a woman working in a convenience store. There's just no way. And literally, that's exactly what it is. And so we meet Kiko Furakuri, 36 years old, who's worked at the same convenience store since she was 18 years old. So she's been working at the same exact job, same exact convenience store, in the same exact position for 18 years. And so the whole thing about it is like, why? Why would someone want to not elevate? Why would someone not want to grow or just experience something different? Why is a 36-year-old woman working at the same place doing the same thing for the past 18 years? So that right there to me was extremely interesting. Now, my preferred genre is classics. I don't really gravitate towards a lot of contemporary books because contemporary books to me are very plot heavy, which is fine. I like a good plot, but they're very plot heavy, whereas I feel like classics are more character driven. And so when I started reading the book, I realized this was going to be a very heavily character driven type of book because there's not much plot in it. So she's been working at this convenience store, and she is basically not shunned by society, but nobody gets her. Nobody understands her. Her family, her friends, nobody understands her. The only time that she feels like she fits in and that she's understood is when she's at work at the convenience store, because she knows exactly what she's supposed to do there. She knows exactly what her role is. They have a very like regimented, is that a word? Like a very rigid type of work environment. Not necessarily rigid, but there's certain protocols that they are encouraged to follow. And it's not just you show up to work, do your job, and go home. You have to present yourself a certain way. You have to interact with the customers a certain way. You have to make sure that the store is kept in a certain manner. And so she takes a lot of pride in herself as an employee of this convenience store. And this is the only place where she can like really be herself. And whenever she's not working and she's with other people in society, she's the odd one out. People just don't get her. They don't understand why she's 36 years old, never been married, no children, never elevated her career, never elevated her employment status, not even like the manager of the damn store. She's always been just an employee there, part of the staff. And so she couldn't tell people like why she just was working there for as long as she was. Like, she couldn't just tell people, I enjoy working there, I love my job, I love how it makes me feel. She had to come up with excuses, because nobody would understand why somebody would want to voluntarily want to stay in the same stagnant position for 18 years, because everybody expects you to move up in your career. Everybody expects you to have a family, get married, all this stuff. There's expectations. And another thing that I took out from this book was how no matter how much a society will praise or glorify individuality, we are all forced to conform. We are all forced to live a certain way. Even in very westernized societies, like, for example, the United States, we're all about individuality, and it's cool to be different, but we all feel the pressure of living a certain way when we don't conform to what society expects us. For example, if you are a woman of a certain age and you're still not married, people kind of look at you funny, like, okay, why? How come you never got married? If you are even a man of a certain age, if you've never been in a committed relationship or you've never been married, people look at you kind of funny, and they use it as a strike against you. Like, okay, you must be commitment phobic. They start giving you all all these labels of why you've never been able to be in a committed relationship or why you never got married. And then heaven forbid you don't have any children, then like, why don't you have any children? What's wrong with you? Is there a medical reason? How could you not want children? Or if you're a married couple and you just choose to not have children, people question that. Why haven't you had children yet? Why don't you want children? Is there a medical problem? Or even if you have one child and choose to have one child, it's like, why don't you have another? How can you just have one child? So no matter how much we praise individuality is not accepted. You cannot live your life the way you want to live it. Like, if you don't go to college, if you chose not to go to college, that's not accepted. Of course, everybody should go to college. Why wouldn't you want to go to college? It's supposed to help you get a better job, and it's supposed to do this, and it's supposed to do that. And if you just choose to be like, hey, I don't want to go to college, I don't want to go that route, you're looked at funny. And then there's like more expectation and more pressure put on you if you don't go the college route. Then people are just going to sit back and they're going to wait and see, well, are you going to make it in this society? Are you going to be able to sustain yourself if you never went to college? Are you going to be the next Bill Gates? You didn't go to college, or you dropped out of college, but you became a multi-billionaire. People are waiting for you basically to fail. And so this woman, Kiko, she likes her life the way it is. She enjoys her life the way it is. She's very, she has her patterns of what she does every day. She gets up, she goes to work. She's got, I think it was like Fridays and Sundays off. So she has a way of living that fits her lifestyle, that makes her happy. But like I said, when she's within society, it's always a question of, why aren't you married? Why do you still work there? Why don't you want to do something else? And she feels left out. And it's to the point where she has to lie about why she's still working on the convenience store. She can't tell the truth because, like I said, nobody would get it. So I really resonated with this book because I totally agree that you cannot do what you want to do that makes you happy. Even though we promote that, we praise that, we put that up on a pedestal, the whole ideology of do what makes you happy, follow your dreams, do what you want. Yes, it's fine as long as what you want to do and as long as what your dreams are is what everybody else approves of. Then it's perfectly okay. So she befriends someone who is like the male version of her, who can't really fit into society because he hasn't accomplished certain steps in his life. And the route that he takes is because he can't conform to what society expects him to be as a male in society. He decides to go into hiding. He doesn't want to interact with people. He just wants to hide. And he's always talking about how we like to talk about how we've moved past the Stone Age, how we have evolved as humans, how we have evolved as, societies from, cavemen, the Stone Age, during those barbaric times. We're no longer, these cavemen anymore. We have elevated. We're more intelligent than that. We're more advanced than that. But we still hold, according to this male character in the book, we still hold those caveman mentalities of there are certain roles that people play. Men are the hunters. Women are the ones that are taking care of the children. They cook and they take care of the children. The men go out there into the wild and get the food. There are certain roles that people play. And so we still have that mentality where men are supposed to be this way, women are supposed to be that way. And if you don't fit that protocol, you're looked at kind of funny. In the book, it's more than just being looked at. They kind of see it as you're being shunned by society. And the male character, I think his name was Shahari. Shahari, he was very much like, he didn't want to conform. He didn't want to do what was expected of him to do. He wanted to do something completely different. But he knew that how he wanted to live was not going to be accepted. And I was like, I totally got that. I totally understood that because if you are in a partnership with a man and you're a female, it's expected that the man has to be the provider. He has to be the one who makes more than the woman. He has to be the one that's the protector of the home. And if it's flip flopped, if it's switched, society does not accept that. So we are still holding on to these gender roles that were in existence from, 10,000 years ago or however long ago during, the caveman days. We still hold true to those values, even though we want to think that we have evolved. We're not like that anymore. We're more advanced than that. No, we're very much like that. Yeah, things are different. We've evolved technologically. We've evolved with in other ways in society, but that mentality, that ideology of men are this way and women are that way has not changed for centuries. Because if you are a woman who makes more than your man, or if you are a woman and you're in a partnership with a man who is the homemaker, he's the caretaker, he's the one rearing the children, that is so like against the norm and so different from what people are expecting that you are looked upon like, what's going on over there? How come Bob doesn't work? Why does Bob want to stay home and take care of the kids while Mary goes to work? That doesn't make any sense. Is there something wrong with Bob? It's always like it's questioned, it's looked at, it's examined, it's criticized. And people who have those type of partnerships have challenges. They have challenges because I know that no matter what, if you are the female and you're the breadwinner, you have to explain to people, or you hesitate explaining probably like what's really going on. Yeah, my husband stays home and he's the one that takes care of the kids and I go to work. People are going to look at you funny. So this story talked about how you could either hide if you don't want to conform, you want to do your own thing. You can either just try to hide from society, or you can try to really push the envelope and try to do what you want to do and what makes you happy and just follow that, and to hell with what society thinks you should or shouldn't do. So I love this book because I'm all about individuality. To me, I think people do whatever the hell you want to do. If you don't want to go to college and you just want to work at McDonald's or at a grocery store or as a laborer or whatever. You just want to do whatever the hell you want to do. You don't want to work in an office. You don't want to claw your way to the top of corporate America. You don't want to, you're not interested in that. That's perfectly fine. If you want to work in an organization and you're happy being a cog, in the machine, you don't want to be the manager. You don't want to be the CEO. You don't want to be the group leader or whatever, the project leader. You just want to do what you want to do because you're happy doing that one thing that you applied for. And that's all that you've ever wanted. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But society will tell you, no, you can't be happy in that same position. You can't be happy not being a leader. You can't be happy not taking control. You can't be happy not clawing your way to the top. There's a lot of pressure on people. And a lot of people, I think this is a reason why in our society there's a lot of stress, because people are forced to do things that they otherwise might not want to do, but they feel the pressure from society to do it. So at the end, I felt like I loved the ending. I thought the ending was great because I don't like a conventional ending. I hate a conventional happy ending tied up in a pretty little bow and give it to the people. I don't like those kind of endings. I like endings that make you think. I like endings that are like cliffhangers. I like endings that are completely unexpected. And this kind of gave me that in a way. So as much as Kiko loved working at the convenience store and doing her job as a clerk, as much joy as that gave her, there came a time in her life where she didn't do that. And so the reason why she walked away from her job and how it affected her and what happened to her after that, loved it. Absolutely. I loved this book. So on Goodreads, I gave it 4 out of 5. And the reason why I didn't give it a full 5 was because I wanted more. It was too short. It was only like 100 and something page, 112, 116 pages. I wanted so much more, and I wanted more of a plot. As much as I said that I like character-driven books, this book was heavy on character, but I wanted just a tiny little bit more of a plot, like to see how things really kind of worked out, or to see more things happening. I wouldn't have minded just a little bit more things happening. I wish there was more of a villain in the story, whether it could have been the main protagonist or another character. I wanted to see, some type of villain somewhere to kind of keep it interesting. But nevertheless, it was still a very good book. I really did enjoy it. And at the very end of the book, There's a love letter, and you would never believe who the love letter is addressed to. Loved it. Anyways, that is my review of Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata, translated by Jenny Tapley Takamori. Thank you so much for joining me. Really do appreciate it. Appreciate your time. On your way out, don't forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.